Hey guys, it's Chris, and today I'm talking about the 2022 Shudder original, They Live in the Gray. Okay, I thought that They Live in the Shadows. Oh, that's a different movie. I second guessed, but it's okay. We're back on board. Back on. Anyways, today we're talking about They Live in the Gray, which is directed by the Vang brothers. And it is about Claire, who is a CPS worker, which is a Child Protective Services. If you didn't know the acronym, there you go. Now you're at school, learned, your brain has been, Anyways, she's a CPS worker. She gets assigned to a case where this young girl may or may not be haunted by a supernatural force. She is. It's kind of like the whole point of the movie. But also important, Claire, our main character, has this very tragic backstory of losing her child and is also able to see dead people. It kind of reminds me of The Sixth Sense, but like all grown up. You know what I mean? Like if Haley Joel Osment grew up and was now a middle-aged Asian American woman, but could still see dead people. It's kind of that idea. And they play with that a lot in ways that I think is really cool. I think one of the really interesting aspects of both this movie and The Sixth Sense was when Haley Joel would like see a ghost and then you would start to learn like a little bit of backstory of how the person died and the like tragic nature of their death. And this movie plays with that a lot, where there's a lot of times where she's talking to somebody or she sees somebody and doesn't realize they're a ghost until like there's like, I don't know, a hole in their head or something, just something obvious to show that they're in fact dead. And then you get some like really disturbing things from these ghost people who don't realize they're dead, but don't quite understand what's going on. And it's all a little sad and bleak and tragic. And that's kind of how I would describe most of this movie, but it has an arc. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but I will say overall, I thought this was a pretty good movie. The production value is very good. It looks great. Has some weird stylistic flares occasionally where it feels like it's going to be a more somber, straightforward kind of movie, but then it gets intense in ways that I wasn't expecting, with gore and camera usage and just sound effects, and the music really intensifies in ways that doesn't necessarily feel like it fits all the time, but I did kind of like it as well, so I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of aspects they're putting together in this movie that don't always kind of work because there's just a lot of elements we have at play here. We have a story about loss and grief and coming to terms with that. We have a story about abuse and how, I guess, people take these emotions and these, what's the word I'm looking for? Things that happen to you, histories, no, what am I thinking of? What's the word? What's the fucking word? What's that word? Experiences, maybe, and come to terms with them in their head, or maybe don't, in healthy or unhealthy ways. So you have that, you have some marital issues and problems between like all the families in this movie. And so all these things are touched upon. And there is threads throughout that does carry through and gets answers to and has a satisfactory ending with some of those themes, but it's just a lot, I guess is my point. And so some of them don't feel like they're completely resolved or maybe completely explored. But it's a cerebral movie. It's a thoughtful movie. There was moments where it was emotional and I felt it. There's moments where there's like this marital breakdown and it feels real and it feels raw. And that's what I always like, is when something is real and raw, much like my lunch meat is where I was going with that. That doesn't even make any sense. That's just fucking weird. Lunch meat. Our main character, Claire, is played by Michelle Krusiek. Not sure if I pronounced that right, but she does a really good job, especially because she's obviously the main character, but she's in quite a bit and has a bunch of emotional range that she has to portray throughout the entire thing, and I think she handled it pretty well. I was empathetic for her character, and I was rooting for her, especially during the finale, which is a little bit over the top and crazy and completely unexpected from where this movie went, but I enjoyed it. So yeah, for the most part, I thought this was pretty good. It's just they were very ambitious with a lot of the storytelling And so I just think it could have been a little tighter in that aspect. And there's enough twists and turns that I wasn't expecting. There's some really creepy imagery and ominous tone throughout a lot of this stuff. And so for the most part, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I would recommend this. I would say that this is a pretty fresh movie. That's what I would say. I would give it a 7 out of 10. And if you have Shudder, I do recommend you checking it out, especially if you're into ghost movies. But heavier themes and a little bit more thoughtful of a movie. So if you're just looking for a jump scare time, it has those moments, but it definitely has deeper emotional ideas that it's exploring. So if you don't want something so heavy, maybe don't check this out. But for me, I thought it was good. So that's going to do it for They Live in the Gray. And if you liked it, let me know what you think down below, guys. If you didn't like it, let me know what you think. Recommend me some movies, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. And I will catch you here next time on Grave Reviews. Goodbye.